Good morning and welcome back to Funchal. Here is the scene in the Olympic swimming pools complex on the hillside here in Funchal, the capital of the island of Madeira. We are here for day 7 of the Para Swimming European Open Championships in Madeira 2024. Another 20 European champions will be crowned tonight in the final session. And the swimmers this morning will be in the heats to try and make it through to those finals. My name is Paul Noble. I'll be taking you through the action as always, and as always, with me is Liz Johnson. Morning, Liz.
Good morning, Paul. Last one.
I know, it's come around quickly, hasn't it? Day 7. It's been a good week so far.
Yeah, we've had some excellent swims and we've got some more this morning. Seeing some people for the first time in these SB8 100 breaststrokes.
Yeah, the SB8 breaststroke start us off there. 100 backstroke for the S10 swimmers, for the women and for the men. Again, we've seen some people for the first time this week in those backstroke events. We have got the 400 freestyle in the S11. That's always very exciting for those swimmers wearing blacked out goggles. They've got no vision at all. We have a couple of individual medleys later on in the session, and we finish off with the very fast men's 50 freestyle. The Italians doing well this week, Liz. They topped the medal table after 6 days.
Yeah, it's something we have become very used to seeing. The Italians got a very broad team. They're diverse across the classifications, across the events, and they've really grown over the last decade, and they're reaping the rewards for that investment of time and money and resources here this week.
And they've, like you said, they've got some experienced campaigners, got a few youngsters coming through as well, and they've got people who have only just given birth a couple of months ago coming back and swimming in the championships. Julia Terzi, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've seen her a couple of times already this week. It is absolutely incredible. Like we said, this European Championship is being used by different countries for different reasons. Some are using it as one of their selection meets. Some countries have already had their selection meets. The Netherlands closed their selection window 2 weeks ago. The French have got their selection in a few weeks. So it does mean we can see athletes at different points on their path towards Paris. But incredible there from Julia Terzi over the last few days.
Yeah, it was a surprise to see her as well. It's been quite a family affair, hasn't it? A few of the swimmers, their families been in the stands, supported them, young children, babies, some of them. It's been a great atmosphere in Madeira, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, again, we've been to Madeira a few times, we've mentioned it. So the athletes are familiar with the surroundings, the setting, they know what's going to work for them, and that definitely helps when you're planning the balance of swimming, and whether you're bringing your family with you, whether you've got elderly supporters coming to watch you, it really does help when you know where you're going.
These are our wonderful technical officials again, being introduced to the crowd before the first event. Again, start off with the breaststroke again this morning, Liz. The SB8s. Quite often, I mean, we've seen this, the programme changes very slightly for different events, but generally in the World and European Championships, it's the SB8s have to wait until quite close to the end of the programme, the very last day sometimes for this SB8 event.
Yeah, we see, like, some people, breaststrokers are often specialists, which is why we'll be seeing some people for the first time. Oscar Salguero Galisteo goes for Spain, his first outing of the week. Some of the athletes have swum the individual medley. Again, though, the SM8 individual medley was only yesterday. So for some people, it's been a 2-day meet over the Friday, Saturday. And a few of the SB8s come down from the S9, SM9 classification. So we've seen them earlier in the week.
And that's a challenge in itself, isn't it? If you're a 2-day meet, if you've been here for, well, over a week, your teammates are all swimming their events, they're all winning medals and making it to finals, whatever. You've just got to sit it out, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's easier for it to be a 2-day meet than it is for you to swim on day 1 and day 7. That's hard because then you've got to decide, you've got to manage your taper, manage your rest, because you're in competition mode. And we saw Ellen Keane They're going in lane 4 in this one. She swam earlier in the week, 100 freestyle, just to go through the motions, just familiarise herself with the walkout process, with the call room, with the preparation. But this is the race that she's come for.
And she goes in lane number 4 in this first heat of the 100 breaststroke. She is a Paralympic champion from Tokyo in 2021. And there she is in lane number 4. She won the European title in 2018 in the Dublin European Championships. A great day that was for Ellen Keane and for the Irish supporters in Dublin that day. Again, she had to wait the very last day of that competition to get Ireland's only gold of that competition. We'll see what she can do in this heat. Lineup for this one: Lorena Maldonado, a medalist yesterday, she goes in lane 2. Paula Novina from Croatia in 3. Ellen Keane goes in the middle in lane 4. Adelina Rosetdanova in 5. And Rekatar from Hungary goes in 6. But Ellen Keane looking good. Early stages was 6 in the second heat, Liz, so the top 2 guaranteed a place in the final.
Yeah, Ellen Keane will want a good lane in that final. She'll want to be in the mix. She has said this is her last cycle of swimming into the Paris Paralympic Games. And so every race opportunity is important to fine-tune those skills for the big day in the summer. She had some time out, did some other things, kept up her fitness, but now she's very much back in the pool. And she turned there 39.94 ahead of Razdanova 42.74, who was just ahead of Novina, who's going well there, closest to us. But very much this is Ellen Keane's heat.
And Ellen Keane coming away. It's looking good for the Irish swimmer. She's going to win this one comfortably. Ellen Keane into the wall in 1:25.09. So decent heat time there for Ellen Keane. Rosetdanova in second in 1:30.88. And Rekatar will be in third, 1:31.91. So those three looking in good shape to progress to the final. Paula Novina dropped to 4th place in the closing stages, but that was a decent swim from Ellen Keane. She'll be happy with that in the morning.
Yeah, she went out strongly there to the 50-metre mark. That's it. We've said with these heat swims, some athletes are testing their front-end speed, and some, which is the first half of the race, and then some are testing their back-end speed. And it looked there like Keane was seeing what she had on the way out. And then you can lengthen your stroke on the way back on breaststroke and really ease up. And we can see there that nice long stroke at the front as she came in on a full stroke there for a perfect finish.
It was closer for second and third. Rosetdanova and Rekatar coming in together. They are second and third. Paula Novina and Beatrice Lorena Maldonado in 4th and 5th. But Ellen Keane will be comfortably into that final 1:25.09, just 6 in the second heat. So Keane and Rosetdanova will be guaranteed to be in the top 8 times. Remember, top 8 times from the 2 heats will qualify for that final. So here are the 6 in this second heat: Klyakina, Marcus Soto, Dimitrov, Ishilova, Gekuli and Haas. So in the centre, well, Dimitrov, world champion in the last 2 world championships, and Ishilova, the reigning European champion with that pink cap.
Yeah, and those swimmers both in good form this week. Dimitrov, though, again, an example of an athlete. This is her main event. This is the one that she has been waiting for. She's in that very experienced Spanish squad, a youngster compared to the others in that squad, but she's so strong in this breaststroke. You can see that long glide. She turns there 40.11, fractionally slower than Ellen Keane went out in the first heat. Marcus Soto through second, 41.27, with Ishilova 42.43. They are the front 3 at the moment, but Dimitrov there, look at that glide. In the final, you'd expect her to up that stroke rate, but right now she's looking very comfortable as Marcus Soto goes well. Her compatriot on the left, Ishilova, starts to work her way back into this one.
There's just 15.
Yeah, swimmers here know that it is comfortable qualification. Marcus Soto just pulling up alongside Dimitrov. Still very young Dimitrov, just 15 years of age. And she comes into the wall now, and she will touch there in 1:27.28, slightly slower than Ellen Keane was in that first heat. Marcus Soto has had a very good week, winning the IM and winning her signature event, 100 backstroke. But it is Anastasia Dimitrov in first, and Marcus Soto in second, Ishilova in third. And again, as you said, Liz, Marcus Soto and Ishilova have been on good form this week. We've seen them swim a number of events, but this is the one that Dimitrov will be targeting.
Yeah, Dimitrov, she has swum already this week, and she swam in the 34-point medley relay. She did the breaststroke leg. She's a bit of a weapon for them in that one. But she's had to wait, like I said, all week for this main event. But she looked really, really comfortable there.
And she finishes 1:27.28. Marcus Soto in second position in that heat. Ishilova in third. They will all make that final clear. Kina as well. She'll be there. There are the qualifiers. Ellen Keane, Dimitrov, Marcus Soto, Ishilova. Big names are all there. Paralympic bronze medalist, Retinova as well, are in that final. So, Spanish will be looking forward to that one tonight. There they are in the stands. We'll go on to the next event, which is the men's 100 metres breaststroke SB8. And again, we've got some experienced campaigners in these two heats, Liz.
Yes, we have. We haven't seen as much of Federico Malacchi this week as we are used to seeing, but the Italian goes in this one in 3. Daniel Smirnov, though, in 4. Is a threat again. Interesting on breaststroke in the heat swim. You can either go out fast to that 50 or bring it home quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
So there are the 5 swimmers for this first heat. Boy Narazov from Uzbekistan, Federico Morlacki, Daniel Smirnov, Robin Lixor and Li Ting. So 2 non-Europeans in this one. The Uzbek in lane number 2 and the Chinese swimmer in lane number 6. There is Morlacki. Well, what an experienced campaigner he is. Just made his European debut back in 2009. He was a champion in this event in 2014 and 2016. And he's been on the international stage. He's won medals at Paralympic Games in this breaststroke. You never really think about Morlacki as a breaststroker generally. IM was a real strength for Morlacki in butterfly, but he's a very strong breaststroker.
Yeah, he is a strong breaststroker, and like you said, it is a bit of a surprise. Typically, this SB8 breaststroke favours those with limb difference in their arms, because it is very much a leg-driven stroke. But at the turn, Smirnov leads 34.42 from Liskor, 34.67, and Morlacki 34.75. So it was very close at the front. It's still close as they come to the 75-metre mark. And Morlacki used to use that breaststroke to great value in his individual medley, and he's looking good here at the bottom of the picture.
Yeah, the white hat of Morlacki alongside Smirnov and Lixor. Those are your leading 3 in 3, 4 and 5. Who's going to get the touch here? Is it going to be Morlacki into the wall first? Maybe Smirnov just stretches for it. 1:15.03. Morlacki 1:15.17. And Lixor 1:15.45. Well, 0.4 of a second between those 3. So decent heat there, but good swim there from Smirnov. Man who's a Paralympic Games finalist, Smirnov. And he's ahead of the experience of Federico Morlacki, and Robin Lixor also good swim from him, the Estonian swimmer. But those 3, you would think that would be them comfortably into that final list.
Yeah, they should have done enough there. As you can see, the start, the range of starts, that underwater pull-out, so important. Like I said, it's a lot easier for the athletes with the two strong legs to glide more on the breaststroke. But Lucky doesn't have that luxury so much because he's driving that stroke arms. So you can see that stroke rate from the Italian at the bottom there. It was all very close at the finish. And there's a lot of firepower in this next heat as well.
So Smirnov takes it, Morlacki, Lixor leading in fourth, and boy, Nazarov in fifth position in that heat. So 1:15 leads the way, 3 on the 1:15 mark. That'll be the immediate target for this next heat. We have Martinez, Fernandez, Onea, Kalina, Salguero, Galisteo, Wolpert and Efrosinin. And the world record holder, Andre Kalina, goes in the centre lane in lane number 4. An incredible record that he's got. First one, Paralympic title back in 2004, Liz.
Yeah, we were talking about Kalina's dominance in the individual medley the other night when he made it on to the podium, and it's incredible, and he's going well here. Salguero, Galisteo going with him. It's been those two really that have shared a lot of the titles in recent years, and it is the Spaniard who turns first, 33.29 to Kalina's 33.60. Andreas Onea, 35.65. He had a great breaststroke leg on his individual medley, the Austrian swimming in 3, but it's the two at the front in 4 and 5 as expected, going well through the 75-metre mark.
Yeah, and it is Salguero Galisteo, I think, maybe just edging it over Kalina, but Kalina trying to come back now in the closing stages, and it might be Kalina might just take this one. A world record holder going through in 1:11.50. Salguero Galisteo 1:11.84. Onea should be into that final as well, 1:14.83 for the Austrian. And Wolpert in 4th position from Israel, just getting in ahead of Martinez Fernandez. So, swimmers at the front of the field should make it safely into that final. Kalina will have more to give, I'm sure. Again, it's amazing, isn't it, when we look back at the record of Kalina. That huge unbeaten run almost for years and years it went on for Kalina. And Galisteo was the Paralympic champion in 2016, so between them, they had the last 5 Paralympic Games titles.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in the stroke there. Kalina, he's so effective with that leg kick. The glide is so strong. But Salguero Galisteo will be pleased with that. He had surgery in October, so he's working his way back to his best, and it was a solid heat swim for the Spaniard.
Yeah, these two will be well ahead of the others when it goes to qualification. Kalina, Salguero Galisteo, Onea should be in there as well. In fact, they are the top 3. Look at that. 1:11.50, 1:11.84 and 1:14.83. Smirnov will be there. Morlacki, Lixor, Wolpert and Martinez Fernandez just getting in 1:18.55 in 8th position. So, big gun safely through this.
Yep, as expected there, and it's set up for a really good battle in the final. Close between the positions behind the two leaders, Kalina and Salguero Galisteo. So those medals are up for grabs.
And there's the Portuguese team. They've got some swimmers in this morning.
This is the women's 100 metres backstroke S10 heats.
Who's that? That's the Australians again. It always fools us there. There's blue tops of the Australians. It's not right, is it?
We'll get used to it, and then they'll go back to their green and gold.
They will. So we're on to the 100 backstroke now for women. And again, 2 heats, 5 in the first heat, 5 in the second. And there's the lineup for heat number 1. Kasenga Hotz, Amber Haycock, Lisa Kruger, Anel Roulet and Susanna Cole. was a great 100 freestyle yesterday, wasn't it, Liz?
It was, and these S10 swimmers are back up early this morning. They were the last event last night. Early rise this morning. Won't phase them too much, but it will be about just getting through this heat, securing a lane in the final.
Yeah, Lisa Kruger took gold in that 100 freestyle. It was a really close race. Kruger goes in the middle. Anil Roulet, one line up, the French swimmer, who was a bronze medalist at the World Championships last year. Very much a specialist, Anil Roulet, coming in to swim this backstroke on the last day.
Yeah, we saw her in the 34-point mixed medley relay earlier in the week, but this is the first time really that we're seeing her in all her glory. This is her best event. This is the one she's waited for. We said a lot of people waiting for the last day, but Kruger's got off to a very good start. She's been working hard on the way that she gets off the wall on that take your mark signal, and it paid off there because she's looking comfortable. Roulet though with a good turn, 33.73 for Kruger at the 50, 34.36 for Roulet, with Amber Haycock of Great Britain in 35.87, a second ahead of Susanna Cole. But now it is Roulet and Kruger. Roulet just looks to be moving ahead of the Dutch swimmer in lane 4, but they are very much together on this one.
Yeah, again with 5 swimmers in the second heat, it's comfortable qualification, but Anil Roulet into the wall first, 1:11.57. Kruger exactly a second behind, and it is Amber Haycock, the young swimmer from Great Britain, the 16-year-old, who's getting in for third, so she will make her way to another final to add to that final position she had in the 100 freestyle yesterday. Haycock finishing in 1:16.77. So Anil Roulet takes that one, 1:11.57. Looks very comfortable there, Liz. Not blowing out too much at the end.
No, she looked like that went to plan for the French athlete. Like you said, Kruger has had a busy program here. The Dutch qualification window for the Paralympic Games has closed, so they are using this the training event, which is why we've seen Kruger pick up a few extra events. The French have their trials next month, so these two swimmers in different places in their preparations, but both swam really solid heats there.
Yeah, and they were 1 and 2, Roulet in 1:11.57, exactly a second ahead of Kruger. Amber Haycock in third place, and Hotz and Cole on the 1:17, just separated by 7/100ths of a second. Wonder if that is going to be vital when they come to see who's in the top 8. Well, someone you'd expect to be in the top 8 is Bianca Papp of Hungary. She goes in the middle lane in this second heat. Great record in this event, Bianca Papp. Paralympic champion, world champion, European champion. 2 non-Europeans in this one, Hannah Price of Australia and Alexandra Truitt of the USA. They go in 3 and 5. Another French swimmer, Emmeline Pierre, goes in lane number 5, and in lane number 2, Elizaveta Sidorenko. Truitt in 6, I should say. In fact, Truitt not taking the start, it's only 4 in this one.
And Emmeline Pierre got off to a good start off the wall there. Used that underwater well, came up about half a body length ahead of Papp. But Papp, once she's up and into her stroke, she's so flat. Under the head there, perfect head position. And she goes over. She's 3/100ths behind Pierre in terms of getting her feet to the wall. Papp did go into the wall first, but Pierre with the height advantage. And Papp looking great. She finished very strongly in the latter part of her earlier races this week, and she's looking really, really good here this morning.
Yeah, this is the one that she will be looking to claim that title. She's won the title on the last 3 occasions, Bianca Papp, and she's looking to make it 4 in a row. So Papp into the wall first, great second 50 for her to stretch away from Emmeline Pierre. 1:10.82 for Papp, 1:12.83 for Pierre, and Hannah Price in 1:12.84. And Sidorenko might be the one to miss out. She finishes on 1:19.33. I'm not sure that's going to be good enough for the top 8. But a good swim from Pap. She looked comfortable again. Again, difficult for us to kind of tell where people are. They are people, obviously, as you said, different stages of preparation, different stages of training, Liz. But the heat's not giving much away at all.
No, not in this one, and we've seen Pap, very experienced athlete, so she will have done what she needs to do in that heat. And often when you are rested, you can have a really comfortable heat, and then you know you've got lots of time to drop in the final. But when you're not rested and you're swimming through a meet, you might have a comfortable heat, and then you go to that next gear, and it's a lot more effort for not a lot more time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. But it was a solid heat swim from Bianca Pap.
Yeah, Bianca Pap takes that one. Emmeline Pierre in second in that second heat. She will be in the final. 2 French will be in the final, and 2 Hungarians as well. Susanna Cowell just makes it in 8th place. We spoke about Bianca Pap there. The first European medals back in 2014. It seems like she's been around forever. She's only 24. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've talked about, again, countries' different approaches. And Hungary, they did used to bring that crop of youngsters, but then they reaped their rewards in Tokyo when they had a very successful Paralympic Games. And often, the earlier you can bring swimmers, assuming you've got the space available on your team, then the more you can develop them in that performance environment, get them comfortable with major championships, because they are different. Major championships are very different to your to swim, no matter how much you race domestically. The protocols are different. You usually, when you race domestically, you get very familiar with the officials, with the venues that are used. So anything that you could do as a nation to prepare your athletes for when they are at the top of their game is all part of the investment. And preparation, like I said, is part of the training. It's bringing them, and Bianca Pap is a fine example of that.
Yeah, Hungarians do that very well, and well, they've got a couple of youngsters in the team here for these championships, 13-year-old, 14-year-old as well. So, yeah, Hungarians, good. They've got a chance of a medal in the women's. Nice 10. Now, what about the men's? Here is the first heat. Montero Maradas from Spain, the 19-year-old, goes in 2. Portugal represented with João Fidalgo, he goes in 6, but there's the centre lane. Raimonde, Baz Taken and Nemchenko. They will be the big names. Is Nemchenko the winner of the 50 metres freestyle? Very swift 50 freestyle that he had to get in ahead of Raimonde earlier in the week. Stefano Raimonde, though, 4 golds to his name, and that 1 silver behind Nemchenko in the 50 freestyle. Nemchenko goes in 5. There's João Fidalgo, 20-year-old from Portugal. First time we've seen him as well at this competition, and he's got a good start there. Excellent start from the Portuguese swimmer up there in 6.
Yeah, Fidalgo got away well. Raimonde, much like Lisa Kruger, we said in the first heat, he won that 100 freestyle last night. He's back up early this morning. Nemchenko was in that one too, going well. In 3 is Baz Taken, and he'll turn first, 30.76 ahead of Fidalgo from that fast start off the wall, 30.78, with Nemchenko 31.29. Raimonde was 31.53, and there was only 1 second separating the whole field there. Montero Maradas turning in 5th. But now, Taken looks to be going ahead of the pack. Fidalgo still going well at the top.
Yeah, Taken is going to take this one. Baz Taken in first position in that heat. Fidalgo will get the touch ahead of Raimonde. Well, so 102.65 for Taken. Fidalgo in 104.11 and Raimonde 104.54. Just 0.1 ahead of Nemchenko there. So Nemchenko Well, there's a bit of risk there for Nemchenko. 104.68 with 6 swimmers in the second heat. And some fast guys as well.
Yeah, they were coming in together. And again, we've said Raimondi has this amazing ability to swim his heats with just the right amount of energy. And him and Nemchenko were level coming under the flags. And then he just seemed to just generate a slightly more power in those final strokes to get that touch. But it was Tacken that got away well. He gave a little nod to the coaches in the crowd at the end of that one. An athlete who's had to change his focus with the removal of the S10 400 metres freestyle for men in the Paralympic programme. Saw him swim the 200 metres individual medley earlier in the week. That probably didn't go as well as he'd hoped, but he had a good stroke.
And there, Tacken does take that one, 102.65. It's a good debut for João Fidalgo, 104.11. That's faster than his entry time. And he goes in second position. Raimondi will clinch third, just ahead of Nemchenko. As we go on to the second heat, we have Thomas Cordeiro, the second of the Portuguese swimmers we shall see. Stanislav Popov of Ukraine. We have Olivier van der Voort, Paralympic silver medalist back in Rio in 2016. Riccardo Menciotti, world silver medalist last year in 5. Gabriel Tomlin from Brazil in 6. And Alexander Tuckfield out there in lane number 7. Menciotti off to a good start, but we saw Olivier van der Voort in the relay. The Netherlands won that relay, and that opening leg, the backstroke leg from van der Voort, was sensational.
Yeah, he really set them up at the front of that race. 58.3 was his split. No one was anywhere near him. He looks to still have that form here today. 28.10 at the turn for van der Voort. Menciotti is having a good week at 0.99. He was next over with Tomlin, 31.19. But it's difficult to see this gold medal going anywhere else other than to van der Voort tonight, assuming he makes it through this heat unscathed.
Well, let's have a look here at the time for van der Voort. Another great time. Look at that, 58.90. And that looks so much more relaxed than the time that he went in the relay. He really went out hard in that relay swim. And he was in the 58.9 again for van der Voort, and that looked very, very easy. Gets in ahead of Menciotti, Tomlin in third, just ahead of Cordeiro, and in fact it's a tie for fourth, Cordeiro and Popov. Look,
You're not going to get your swim off, are you?
I don't know, we'll find out in a second. We might well do.
Yeah, no, van der Voort disadvantaged off the start just with that one leg to push off the wall, but once he's up and into his stroke, he's got such finesse when he swims his backstroke. Like I said, it looks effortless. 58.9 looking effortless. The rest of us can only dream. But he looks so good there, way ahead of the rest of the field. Menciotti did look strong, but there'll be a fight for the medals tonight, but like I said, difficult to see past van der Voort at the moment.
It certainly is. That was incredible. 58.90. He won a medal in the Rio Paralympic Games. He's back now, trying to make it to Paris. Menciotti in second. And let's have a look at the summary. I hope we're going to get that summary because it's exciting news, Liz.
For you or for the swimmers?
Well, I don't know. Depends how you look at swim-offs, doesn't it? It's another chance, another swim. Well, van der Voort will lead them in. Tacken in second. Fidalgo will be there as well. Menciotti and Raimondi will make it. Nemchenko, Tomlin will be 7. And guess what? Popov and Cordeiro have tied for 8th position. Well, there we go. Swim off again. That's what we like.
Yes, we've had a few dead heats, haven't we, across the programme this week? Some for gold, some for silver. some just for position and some for that 8th place, that vital place into the final. That'll be the second swim off of the week that we have seen.
That's excellent, and it was very, very close. It's a shame we're not getting the summary because 104, there was, well, 6 swimmers on 104, I think 6 or 7 swimmers on 104. That was incredible, and you said it again, Raimondi, well, he was only half a second outside not even making that final, but he just seems to find a way of making it in.
Yeah, he swims his heats with great expertise and great confidence.
Well, just looking at our summary from that last one, swim off already scheduled for 11:22. There you go.
That's efficiency for you right there.
Yes, indeed. So here is the S11 400 freestyle. Well, we've been enjoying the S11 events this week. And there's a lineup for the 400 heat. Number 1, Simona Severblis from Lithuania. Jose Ramon Cantero Elvira from Spain in 3. The Dutch are back in again. We saw 2 Dutch swimmers win the previous 2 heats, so I wonder if we're going to get another one here. Roger Dorsman in 4. Marco Meneses, silver medalist last night for the host nation. He goes in lane number 5, and Maxim Chernov from Ukraine goes in lane number 6. So 5 swimmers in this first heat, 5 swimmers in the second for this 400 freestyle S11. The S11 class are swimmers with little or no vision. They'll all be wearing blacked out goggles. The only exception to wearing the blacked out goggles is if the swimmers have prosthetic eyes, and Marco Meneses falls into that category, so that's why he's not wearing the blacked out goggles, but the others will be. And right out in the front in lane number 4, looks like Roger Dorsman. Lane 4 and 5, those 2 yellow marked lanes, Dorsman and Meneses. And again, the 400, we talked about the tappers a little bit earlier, Liz, but the tappers are a vital part of the race for the S11 swimmers, and even more so on a 400 freestyle.
Yeah, I've seen it in the past, actually. I think it was back at the World Championships in Glasgow when Brad Snyder missed his turn on the tap, the American, and had to, but he came back and then he hit the wall and he went again. You can do that as long as you don't walk on the bottom, which is difficult to do when the pool depth is 2 to 3 meters. So it is that, but it does massively slow you down, obviously, and it does break the rhythm of your stroke. So those turns are important. There's no specified length that tapping stick needs to be, which is why sometimes you see some athletes have quite short tapping sticks and some have much longer ones. It's very much a preference for the athlete, and sometimes that changes depending on what stroke they are swimming. Dorsman there, you can see be tapped on the shoulder. The idea was always that you were aiming for the top of the head, but over time it's evolved, and the athlete's preference is more that you make sure that you tap them when they're in the right position in the lane, rather than which part of their body that you tap.
Yeah, you just see that technique there of Roger Dorsman. Really smooth there. He's just skirting that lane rope as he comes down to the halfway point. Dorsman will go over in that time, 2:14.33 for Roger Dorsman. And in second place will be Meneses, 2:21.30 for Meneses. Cantero Elvira in third place in 2:24.80. Again, 5 in the second heat, so the top 3 will qualify. Very different techniques there for Roger Dorsman. He's got his hands right in at the front, in front of his head, from Marco Meneses there, who kind of swings his arms round into that freestyle.
Yeah, we do see a number of different techniques. Dorsman there going over 2:49.38 at the 2:50 mark, ahead of Meneses 2:59.50. and Cantero Elvira 303.56. But as we were saying, you see a range of techniques in this S11 category. We see a lot of athletes drop down through the visually impaired category as their vision deteriorates. And that typically means that they've learned to swim and they've seen the techniques, and so they know what the freestyle looks like. Whereas in this S11 category, you do get some athletes who are born with no vision, and so typically they've got a very different style stroke because they've never had that visual reference point of what everybody else's freestyle looks like. So you do. It's an interesting combination, and it is why you do see a range of strokes. And Dorsman, he did lose his sight as a youngster. He's got excellent technique in all of his strokes, and his race skills are really strong as well. As he goes over on the final turn, 4 minutes, 0.61. He was 3:25.33. at the turn. He's been very consistent here this morning. Held 34s, done the first 250s, and then he's been holding 35.50 metres ever since.
Dorsman is the European record holder, so no surprise to see him out in front of the field. Paralympic champion as well, Roger Dorsman. And, well, the only blip on his record this week was yesterday when he finished in third place in the backstroke. But Dorsman in safely, 4:35.88. So he'll be pleased with that swim, Roger Dorsman. Just outside the time that he did in the World Championships last year, actually, 4:34 last year. So that's a decent swim from Dorsman. Marco Meneses in second, 4:53.86. He will progress to the final, as will Cantero Elvira. Third place finisher for the Spaniard, 5:01.07 for him. So the three in the centre will go through to that final with only 5 in the second heat. Chernov coming in 5:10.17, and the final swimmer is Simona Severblis, young swimmer from Lithuania, just 17 years of age. And Lithuania with another S11 swimmer, Edgaras Matakis. Big star for Lithuania, but another youngster coming through the ranks here for them.
Yeah, and again we say, don't we, if you see an athlete, or you have an athlete that is like you, we talked about it yesterday with the Spanish S9 females, then we saw it as well with Dervla Brady getting on the podium in the S650 freestyle with Nicole Turner. If you've got the role models, then and the performance pathways, then it does develop the younger generation as well.
Yes, absolutely. Matakis and Severblis, they made a couple of finals together. Dorsman, though, has been, well, almost unbeatable this week. The blacked out goggles will be checked as the swimmers finish. Again, it's an important part here of the officials' jobs. They will check all the technical equipment, and that includes the blacked out goggles. It looks like Roger Dorsman is safe enough. Marco Meneses in second position in that heat. Jose Ramon Cantero Elvira will progress to the final as well, but Chernov will have to wait for the second heat, as will Severblis. And there is the second heat coming out now. Kozlowski from Poland in lane number 2. Danilo Chufarov, 3 silver medals this week. He goes in 3. The world champion from last year, David Krotochvil, in 4. Mikhailo Serbin goes in 5, and Ilnur Garipov goes up there in lane number 6. We've seen David Krotochvil taking that backstroke gold last night. Again, another real young swimmer, but it's difficult to forget that 400 freestyle last year at the World Championships, where he came from miles back in the closing stages just to get in ahead of Roger Dorsman by, well, a few hundredths of a second, 9/100ths of a second the margin at the end. Fantastic swim, a real kind of glory swim there from Krotochvil. And we did wonder at that time, is it just a fluke? Is it a one-off swim? But this week he has proved us wrong. He's proved that he can take his place with pride against the best in the world, David Kratochvil.
Yeah, that week he was always there or thereabouts until that last day, and this event where he really came through in emphatic style. But this week, as you said, Paul, he's already got medals. He tied for that silver behind Dorsman with Edgaras Matakis right towards the beginning of the week. He won that backstroke convincingly last night in the end, and he's looking comfortable here this morning. Chufarov, though, led through the 50 and the 100, 32.50 at the first turn, ahead of his compatriot Mikhailo Serbin, who probably didn't have the best backstroke last night. He would have hoped to be on that podium, the Paralympic champion, just missing out there, so he'll be looking to make amends. They turned at the 100, 1 and 2 as well, but now at the 150, Kratochvil has gone ahead of Mikhailo Serbin. Chufarov still out in front, 145.57 to 147.34 of Kratochvil, and then Serbin 148.58. It's those three at the front as we come to the midpoint. Chufarov looking comfortable going in lane 3 at the moment, but Kratochvil is a man swimming with confidence, and as you said, Paul, at the World Championships he finished very strongly indeed, so can't read too much into his positioning here this morning.
And the S11 swimmers, they kind of got to swim with their own race, haven't they? They haven't got any choice. They won't be able to see anyone around them, so they've got no choice but to swim their own race, have confidence in their own tactic. They'll have discussed that with their coaches earlier on, but they can't. They're not able to react to things happening around them, so they've got no choice. They've got to just swim what they have planned to do and hope that it works out.
Yeah, and that's why I was just to say that is why they often swim a very similar time in the heat to the final, because they are swimming by themselves. It's more of a time trial, unless of course they are close to each other on the lane rope. They can sense each other are there. Sometimes they tap each other's hands under the lane rope or above the lane rope as they're coming over if they're sharing the lane rope. But yeah, it's wide. It's a lot more consistent swimming, I would say, in the S11 category than in any of the classification groups. And they went over there at the 250 mark. Chufarov just ahead, 258.92, but Kratochvil definitely starting to make his move. 3:35.97 at the 300 meter mark for Chufarov. Kratochvil 3:36.02. He's just down now to 5/100ths behind Chufarov. He took almost a second off him on that 50, and he has moved ahead into first place in this heat. And quite convincingly now, on this length, he's opened up a 2 body length lead.
Yeah, he has indeed. He's shown that power that we saw in the World Championship final last year. Takes the tap, goes over. Excellent turn. Chufarov in second, 4:09.98 for Kratochvil, 4:12.08 for Chufarov. Third place will still be Serbin in 4:20.63. But Kratochvil again showing that real power in the closing stages that we've now come to expect from him, and he is going ahead of Chufarov, looking very good in the closing stages, very strong Kratochvil, and he's into the wall in that time of 4:42.39 for him. So it is behind the time set by Dorsman in the first heat, but he will be comfortably into that final. 4:46.57 for Chufarov and 4:56.18 for Serbin. Chufarov had a great World Championships last year, Liz. He's not quite regained that form just yet here at these championships. He's kind of been eclipsed by the likes of Kratochvil and Dorsman. But it was such a good World Champ. He was nominated for a Laureus Sports Award, wasn't he?
He was, and do you remember he broke his arm as well in a hand on one of the finishes, so he didn't get to complete program at World Championships last year, so he could have potentially won even more. But yeah, he's definitely this week, he's there or thereabouts, but he's met a man in form, Kratochvil, and Roger Dorsman with those 5 gold medals. They are leading the here in Madeira.
Checks need to be completed for
They are indeed. Goggles need to be checked.
Serbin and Garipov all
Kratochvil
to wear blacked out goggles.
and Chufarov, Serbin. They are the top 3 as they stand. Kratochvil should progress to that final. Another head-to-head battle with Dorsman potentially. Chufarov may well be in the mix as well. And we'll see if these results are confirmed. Here we are, I think. Yeah, Kratochvil safely there, 442.39. Chufarov in 446.57. Serbin 456.18. And there's the qualifiers. The world gold and silver medalists are the top 2. Dorsman, Kratochvil, Chufarov is there. Manesis will be there for the host nation. They'll be hoping to get another medal. Again, another one that is going to be an interesting one again, Liz. That was a great battle last year at the World Championships. Dorsman, though, will be looking to get revenge for that silver medal position that he finished last year, won't he?
Absolutely, and he's swimming with great confidence. But Kratochvil, as you said, the youngster really improving with every time he gets in the water. And they'll come in with their own race plans, as you alluded to earlier. And so that's, again, what it makes it so exciting for the spectators.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. We like the S11 races, that's for sure. And the S7 races, well, they've given us a fair share of drama this week. For the men, it's 100 freestyle. I wonder what we are going to get here. Well, this could be a very interesting one indeed. This man, Turgut Yaraman, what a week he has had. He's coming out into lane number 6, the Turkey swimmer. He's won gold in the butterfly, silver in the 100 backstroke, but he set a world record in the heats in that 100 backstroke, did the young swimmer from Turkey. Netherlands are represented by Julian Hendricks going in lane 2. Just saw the South African there, Christian Sadi. He goes in 3. Federico Biccelli, the reigning European champion Biccelli.
Is heat 1.
2-time European champion, actually, the Italian. Yuri Senhur, a couple of bronzes to his name, including one in the 50 last night. And Yaraman goes in the outside lane. But there is Biccelli. 1:62 the entry time for the Italian in that blue cap. Yaraman up there in lane number 6. We don't have Hendricks in 2, but a good start from Christian Sadi there in lane number 3.
Yeah, he always gets away well, Sadi. You can see closest to us at the bottom of the screen. He's been in African record-breaking form this week. But talking of form, Turgut Yaraman at the top of the picture has been a revelation for the team from Turkey. He swum some excellent heat swims. 31.11 he goes out there, ahead of Senya's 31.51. Biccelli 31.54 with Sadi 31.76. A good turn again from Sadi, as Biccelli will start to try and make his way through.
Yeah, it's very close at the front between all 4 swimmers here. Yaraman might just have the edge. He's breathing across so he can see the swimmers inside him. Biccelli coming through with the blue cap there. Christian Sadi might just be falling to 4th now. Biccelli very strong at the end there, and he gets in first in 1:04.49. Yaraman in 2nd and Senhur in 3rd, with Christian Sadi in 4th, but it was mighty close. Biccelli was pleased there. Yaraman on the lane ropes again. He enjoys being on those lane ropes, doesn't he? Enjoys his celebrations at the end of the races.
I think it must just be part of his post-race procedure, because he's not massively celebrating or waving to the crowd or anything. He finished and he jumps up on the lane rope. Obviously, when he does swim well, he is very animated. We saw that the other night. But I think it must just be part of his process.
It must be. He's enjoying himself here, that's for sure. But what a good finish there for Biccelli. Looked really powerful in the closing stages. And, well, it's a comfortable swim in the end. He's been much faster, but 1:04.49 for Biccelli will make him qualify for that final tonight. Yaraman will also be there with only 6 in the second heat. And Senor and Christian Sadi, well, not the fastest of times for those two in the heats. But we'll see what the second heat can do. They'll still have a chance, those two, I think. We didn't see Julian Hendricks. There's a couple of no-shows this morning, so we'll see if there are any no-shows in this second heat. I think there is actually a second. We've only got 5. We're due to have 6. We only have 5 now. And we have Andrei Trusov, the world record holder. Broke a long-standing world record in the Manchester World Championships last year. Just over the 1 minute mark, Andrei Trusov. Bodaiko, although closest to us, the 2 Ukrainians. Kanisevic from Croatia in 5. Efrosinin in 6. And a good start from Yuri Semyonov's out there in lane number 7, the Latvian.
Yeah, that I think is Semyonov's going very well at the front there. He did have that good start, as you said, Paul. Also going well in for is Trusov. We saw him get very close to his best in the freestyle in the 50, and he will turn in the lead, 31.77, just ahead of that fast start from Semyonov's 31.99, with Bodaiko 32.79. Trusov has been in excellent form again this week. He had a brilliant World Championships last year. That is where he set this world record, and he's backing up all his races. He's had a very busy program, but he's leading the way here.
Yeah, he certainly is. Let's have a look at the clock. We'll see what kind of times that he has registered here. 105.34. So again, comfortable there. He's not going to be ahead of Bocelli or Yaraman, but he'll be third into that final. Semyonov's a good swim from the tall figure of Yuri Semyonov's from Latvia. Their only representative here at the championships. And Bodaiko in 109.69. That should be good enough for Bodaiko as well. We saw him continue that great run that he has in the 100 breaststroke, winning another European title, Yevgeny Bodaiko, last night. But he'll be back and he should be into that final with 109. But it's going to be pretty close, I think. Kanisevic in 111.86, but Trusov looked good and looked comfortable.
Yeah, as we said, Trusov has been strong. He was shocked, I think, when Yaraman broke that world record in the heat of the 100 metres backstroke, but he came back and replied in the best way possible with his own world record to snatch it back. And he's been very powerful. His starts have been very good this week.
Yeah, and he does take that second heat in 105.34. Good swim from Semyonov's as well. Bodaiko will make it through to that final, as will Kanisevic, I think. Yes, just 111.86 for Kanisevic to make it in 8th position. But Bocelli looked very strong in the closing stages, but you know, the fastest time, 104, as you would expect these guys to be challenging the 1 minute mark in that final.
Yeah, previously we've seen Bocelli and Trusov push each other all the way, and I wouldn't expect anything less tonight, the way that the S7 men have been swimming this week.
So we've seen a few no-shows this morning. We didn't have many yesterday. We had a couple 2 days ago. We had quite a lot of no-shows for whatever reason, people withdrawing from events, etc. We've seen a couple this morning as well. But it's getting late in the week, isn't it? For some swimmers, big programs for some.
Yeah, and as we said, people, depending on where they are in their program, will have entered these championships and put themselves in, and then just thought they'd decide on their schedule closer to the time. So that's often a reason for no-shows.
Well, we've got a couple of withdrawals from this event as well, which is the 200 freestyle for the S4 classification. So only 4 take the start in this first heat, and only 4 will take the start in the second as well. So all be guaranteed a place in the final. So it'll be an interesting one. Let's see if anyone maybe pushes it, maybe trying to get position for that final, or are they just going to relax into this 200 freestyle, almost treat it like a warm-up?
Well, like we said, depends often on the way, your style of swimming. Some people
This is heat 1.
can have a stroke style that you can really stretch out. Others don't have that, so then, like, I know, like, when I swam freestyle, I didn't have that much to slow down with because I didn't have particularly a leg kick that could control that stroke from the back. But we've seen Zdanov there. He doesn't have a leg kick, but he does have a really good catch at the front where he can elongate his stroke. We've seen him do that in the past. But someone like Arnos Petricek probably won't slow down too much because he'll lose his momentum as he goes through the water.
So line up for this first heat of this 200 freestyle S4. Ariel Malyar from Israel goes closest to us in lane 3. Roman Zdanov will go in lane number 4. David Smetany, well, 3 times he has been a silver medalist in this event, the experienced French swimmer. He goes in lane number 5, and Arnos Petricek, the Czechia swimmer, goes in lane number 6. So very kind of similar strokes at the front of the field. Smetany in lane number 5, just stretching ahead of Zdanov. They'll come to the first turn. And David Smetany, well, he's been world champion, Paralympic champion, European champion as well, the Frenchman. He's done it all in the long career, and he is trying to make it to the Paris Paralympic Games. That would be a great way for him to sign out of his long career, wouldn't it, Liz?
Yeah, there's no bigger incentive than a home Paralympic Games. One excellent place to round off what has been a hugely successful career for Smetany over the years. It's going well down at this first 100. We got a glimpse of Arnos Petricek there in lane 6, who drives his stroke through that leg. So that's what I'm saying. You can't often slow it down too much because Petricek's head position would change massively in the water. Smetany leads the way at the 100-meter mark, 1:31.70, ahead of Roman Zdanov, 1:34.35. Petricek 1:41.32 through the halfway point, and then Malyar, who picked up that excellent silver in the 50 earlier in the week, 1:50.41. So Zdanov, though, we alluded to it at the start, he's got that great long stroke, and he's able to stretch it out at the front. That's where he'll control his speed in this heat. He's able to do that, keep that body position nice, whereas you can see with Smetany, his legs would start to drop if he tried to elongate that stroke at the front. He puts his hands in right at the top of the catch. So different styles of strokes here. Smetany leading the way, 2:21.92 to Zdanov's 2:24.47, as we just see Petricek going under the flags to complete his third 50.
Yeah, Petricek there touching at the 150 mark, 2:41.80, ahead of Malyar, 2:49.31. But Smetany on his way home now. Zdanov maybe just closing very slightly. Zdanov there as he comes into the last few meters, the last half length here. But Smetany, the Frenchman, the French have had a great tournament here in Madeira, and Smetany might get into the wall first, just ahead of Zdanov, both on the 3:12 mark, 3:12.19 and 3:12.64 for the two leaders in that one. They will be guaranteed a place in that final, and Smetany not too far away from his entry time there, 3:10.52, and in fact that's the fastest time that we've seen Smetany do this year. He went 3:14.88 a little bit earlier in the year, so he's finished on a 3:12.19, fastest time of the year for the Frenchman. Petricek is in 3:39.67, ahead of Malyar, 3:45.32.
Smetany confirmed as the winner of Heat 1.
Well, that was a good swim at the front for Smetany. Zdanov looked comfortable there. Petricek had a good last 50. He and Malyar had been very close together there. We see Petricek getting that excellent start, really utilising that underwater phase. But in the last 50, he put a bit of space between him and Ariel Malia. As I said, they pretty much kept each other company the whole way through the first 150. Zdanov finished strongly as well, just getting touched out by Smetanine, who managed to lead the whole way on that one.
And he led at the finish as he comes in 3:12.19. Zdanov in 3:12.64. Petricek and Malyar will both qualify for that final. Only 4 swimmers due to take the start in this second heat. The S4 events have been good this week, haven't they? Good quality, good depth in the field as well. And Amiomer Dadon, second Israeli swimmer. We saw Ariel Malyar in the first heat. In fact, we only got 3 in this second heat, so we do have another withdrawal. Dadon, Beggiato and Javi Torres take the start. There is the world record holder, Ami Omer Dadon. Set that world record in the Tokyo Paralympic Games. Very fast, 2:44.84. There's 2 swimmers going from the water, and Javi Torres going from the dive. Torres, a man who's he's the same age as David Smetanine, but he's been around a little bit longer than the Frenchman. Javi Torres started his Paralympic career back in 1992. 7 Paralympic Games so far for Torres, going up there in lane number 6 as the world record holder stretches away Dadon in the early stages, and Beggiato close behind him.
About Smith finishing his career at home Paralympic Games. Home Paralympic Games was the catalyst for Torres, and he does a lot of coaching. He's been a great advocate for parasport globally, but also hugely in Spain. He's helped develop it, and it's great to see him still here competing this year. There's Beggiato. The Italians having a good week. Beggiato will be looking at the opportunity that this 200 freestyle presents. And Dadon, though, has been in excellent form himself. Israel having a good week. And Amio Dadon in these he's got good of events, but it's the freestyle events where he really is dominant.
Yeah, we just saw that close up of the turn. We'll maybe see it again at the top end. It's kind of unique style that he has on that turn. Amiomer Dadon. Beggiato going along quite nicely there in second position, and Torres back in 3rd place. But Javi Torres, as I said, 7 times a Paralympian. He made that debut back in the 90s. Good to see him back. He took a little bit of time off and then he was back again. But here's Dadon coming into this turn now at the 150 mark. And there's a very good shot of that technique of Dadon getting around the wall there.
Yeah, we say there's a lot of different techniques that these swimmers develop. They have to. You can't just look at the coaching textbook and try to mimic it. The further down the classification system that you go, you really have to be quite active in figuring out things that work for you. And Dadon has that excellent swivel sort of turn there as he comes through. He's got quite a high stroke rate, quite a short stroke, and he always helps him pull away. He's looking comfortable here. It's too much this morning, especially with those, and that'll be a comfortable time of 2:57 for Amir to take that second heat.
Yeah, he does. Comfortably ahead of Beggiato, 3:07.31. So the gap was around about 10 seconds in the end. And here comes Javi Torres. You can see him back in the water, and he'll be back again for the final alongside David Smetanine. two of the, shall we say, the most experienced swimmers here at these championships. They're not the oldest, not the oldest. I think Claire Supio is the oldest, the French swimmer who swam in the Olympic Games before moving into parasport, acquiring an impairment later on in the year. Similarly with Smetanine as well, he acquired his impairment through an accident, whereas Javi Torres was from birth. Oh, it's you know, you do see these swimmers coming into the Paralympic program a little bit later in life, so sometimes you see swimmers maybe a little bit older than you would normally see someone competing at the top level.
Yeah, and it does mean that again, if you've acquired your impairment, sometimes it depends on your background. We've seen some athletes who were athletes previously, maybe not swimmers, but we've also seen swimmers come in to the para swimming program. The great American coach now, Dave Dennison, came in to the Beijing, having been an NCAA swimmer, and it just doesn't always translate, but sometimes it does.
And there is the result of that second heat. Arioma Dodon safely into that one, Beggiato as well, and Torres, and there are Euro 7 qualifiers, Dodon, Beggiato, Smetanine, Zidanov, and Torres are the top 5 qualifiers there, but yeah, they all knew it was safely into that final, but Dodon looking very good, the only one under the 3-minute mark. He'll be tough to beat tonight as we go in to the next event, 200 metres individual medley. Well, it's not going to be quite a simple qualification here for these 200 individual medley swimmers. It's visually impaired classification as well for the women. S13. There's a scene outside the pool. Great setting here on the pool side in Madeira. Looks a little bit cloudy there, doesn't it?
I was going to say, yeah, I'm not so upset that I'm not outside in what is usual the sunshine there, 'cause it does look a little bit cloudy this morning. Always warm in the swimming pool though.
It's always really warm in the swimming pool. Well, there's line up 3 Spanish swimmers in this first heat.
This is heat 1.
2 from South Africa as well, so that's what the South African fans were looking out for. Here's Roisin Nguyen. Great event that she's having here in Madeira. Either side of her, Marian Polo Lopez and Emma Filo Martin. Full lineup: South African Alana Ferreri, nearest to us in 2, Emma Filo Martin in 3, Roisin Nguyen in 4, Marian Polo Lopez in 5, Ariadna Edo Beltran in 6, and Danica Vanka, the outside lane, the second South African.
Nguyen going well down this butterfly leg, looking strong at the front of the field. She will turn first after 50 metres, 30.85 ahead of Polo Lopez, 31.91. Edo Beltran, 32.44. They were your top 3. And Nguyen, a strong backstroker as well, so she'll look to maintain this lead. But Polo Lopez looking good in lane 5, top of those 2 yellow lanes.
Yeah, Nguyen was a gold medalist in this 100 back, but Polo Lopez was also a medalist as well, so not letting the Irish swimmer get away too far. Edo Beltran in 3rd place, so come to halfway. Roisin Nguyen in 1st position in 111.55. Marian Polo Lopez 113.17, and Edo Beltran in 116.45. But Polo Lopez also a very strong breaststroker as well. Took the silver medal behind Nguyen in this breaststroke. The Irish swimmer, as you said, Liz, having a great event here. A couple of gold medals to her name. Also been on the podium as well in the 400 freestyle. So she'll have a strong freestyle at the end here. And she's going pretty hard trying to make this way into the final. Leading 2 should be safe. Again, 6 in the second heat. So if you finish top 2, that's guaranteed you a place in that final tonight.
Yeah, Nirian turns there 157.58 to Polo Lopez is 158.87. Polo Lopez with the slightly better breaststroke leg there. Ido Beltran in the third, 204.55. But now they're on to the freestyle. Nirian just kicking working a little bit harder down this last 25 metres with that leg kick. But she's definitely done enough. And Polo Lopez looking comfortable in second.
Well, Roisin Nirian is just coming into the finish now in that time of 2:33.63. Marian Polo Lopez 2:36.22. And Edo Beltran will be in third, 2:41.15. But Roisin Nirian is just developing in a number of events. She's been very impressive here this week. We've seen her come through the ranks, and she made her debut back here in the European Championships in 2021. But since then, she's really gone from strength to strength, hasn't she?
Yeah, we've talked about the Irish team. We mentioned it while Ellen Keane was swimming right at the start of this morning's programme. Back in Dublin, they had to wait till the very last day for that gold medal opportunity. But again, having a home championships and being visible and having role models has meant that that programme has grown. And already Ellen Keane is swimming this morning with less pressure in that sense, because Nirian, Nicole Turner already won gold medals. Plenty more medals have come through.
And Roisin Nirian taking that one, 2:33.63. And Marian Polo Lopez, Ariana Edo Beltran and Emily Wheeler Martin are second, third and fourth as they come in to the finish. So they should make it into that final. You would think the 3 Spaniards would be safe enough, but it all depends on this one. We have Natasia Rusalka, Alexandra Tiblatseva, Carlota Gili. We have Choksanamon Toshpalatova, Alicia Berra and Joanna Dola. That's the lineup for this one.
Well, the pink suit of Carlota Gili in a lead similar to we saw in the first heat with Nirian for Ireland. Gili's been back to some of her best form this week. She's been racing very well. She goes over first, 30.24 ahead of Toshpalatova, 31.75. And Alicia Berra, the second Italian in this one. She swims in the SM12 classification group, but this is a combined event with only one set of medals available. She turned third, 32.34 after the butterfly. Gili still going well. The backstroke will consolidate that lead at the 100-metre turn as they flip on to the breaststroke. 108.41 for Gili. Toshpalatova holding on to that second position, 110.54. They are away and clear. It's close behind them though, as Zablatseva just touches ahead of Berra, 117.24 to 118.07. But Berra with a strong breaststroke and freestyle. And Gili looking good here, as is Toshpalatova.
Yeah, these two coming away at the front now. Toshpalatova, again, the Uzbekistan swimmer. Another one that we saw for the first time, I think, back in these European Open Championships back in 2016. And she went on, well, she claimed the Open gold back in 2016 at these championships, and she also went on to claim the bronze medal in the Paralympic Games in Rio and again in Tokyo. So she is a threat here. Carlota Gili, of course, the Paralympic champion. Well, swum against Toshpalatova a number of times in recent years. 154.51 for Tosh Baladova at that final turn. Carlotta Gili 154.85. They are stroking alongside each other here, and it looks like the Italian might just have the edge in the finish. Tosh Baladova making a little bit of a dive for the wall, but Gili in 2:29.50 takes that one ahead of Tosh Baladova 2:29.78. So good head-to-head there, and that's faster than the first heat time set by Roisin Urian of Ireland. Zibletseva in third place in 2:44.35, and Bera in 2:45.93. They should make it through into the top 8 as well.
Well, yeah, so there is Julie, like I said, having a great week here, back to some of her best racing form. She has a big program, and she gets challenged along the way, but she's come into this one swimming very well indeed.
Yeah, she's already multi-gold medalist, 4 golds already to her name. She's trying to make it number 5, Carlotta Gili, tonight, and she will be a favourite. World record holder, of course, set in those Paralympic Games in Tokyo, and the Paralympic gold and bronze medalist coming in absolutely together there. There's the tussle for the 3rd and 4th position. Zibletseva coming in lane number 3. Bera in lane number 4, but just looking at our screen, we might have a disqualification. There's a little bit of a delay here, and it is Zibletseva who's disqualified. Carlotta Gili will progress to that final. Tosh Baladova will be there, Bera will be there, and Rosolka, well, is that going to be good enough for her? Well, not quite, but it does mean that Danica Vanka will progress, the South African swimmer, but Gili, Tosh Baladova, Narian, they will be the top 3. Another good final in prospect here, but Gili has been very good this week, Liz.
Yeah, she has. Like I said, she's led the way. She burst on to the scene as part of that Italian build back in 2017, and she's ups and downs along the way at some of the major championships. She's a bit hard on herself sometimes, but it's good to see her back enjoying her swimming and swimming fast across her entire program.
Yeah, she's doing really well for the Italian team. The Italians still top the medal table as we move on to the men's event. No Italians in this one, but 2 French and 2 Germans. Quentin Vieira in 1 from France. Maxim Vaskovic, one of the 2 S12 swimmers, swimming up against the S13s. Thalasso Engel goes in 3, the German, winner of the breaststroke. In a few days ago, Alex Portal, world champion in this event last year. Thomas van Vanrooy, the silver medalist last year, the Dutchman in lane 5. Philip Hebmuller goes in 6, and Dimitri Horlin, the other of the SM12 swimmers, he goes in lane number 7, the Uzbekistan swimmer. Again, when you see the SM in front of the race, that just means it's a medley race. SB, as we've seen, means it's a breaststroke race, and all the other strokes have got just S in front of them. But Portal, well, he'll be one targeting this one. He's world champion in the last 2 occasions, 22 and 23, took those 2 titles, and he goes in lane number 4. But Thalasso Engel going well in the early stages. Watch out for him on the breaststroke. He was a sensational breaststroke swim in the 100 breaststroke to set a new world record a few days ago.
Yeah, Engel will be the strength on the breaststroke. Van Vanrooy also got a very good middle 100 meters. He's just to the right of the shot there, as Portal led down that butterfly. 27.33 to Engel's 27.53, with Van Vanrooy turning third, 28. Looks to be leading at the halfway point, 102.98, just 1/100th ahead of Van Vanrooy, who will look to have a strong breaststroke. It was a good turn from Engel, who just got pipped at the halfway point by Vashkovic, the SM12 swimmer. We have two SM12s in this one. Dimitri Horlin swimming in lane number 7, also an SM12 athlete. But there we can see Engel on the left of Portal. We've just zoomed in on Portal there, but they're breaststroke specialist, using that power, using that strength to come through the field. He will touch first with 150 to go. 140.88 for Engel, 142.3 for Portal, Van Roy 143.31, and Philippe Hembüller up into 4th.
I love it when the breaststrokers just cut through the field so easily. Thalasso Engel made up so much ground there on Alex Portal. We saw him in the 50 freestyle as well, Thalasso Engel. He's a good sprint freestyler. And it is going to be Alex Portal, I think, first to the wall, is it? Oh no, Engel just gets it by 3/100ths of a second, ahead of Portal, 2:13.32 and 2:13.35. Van Roy, 2:17.52 in 3rd place, and Hembüller, Vashkovic and Horlin, it will be next in. But great swim there from Thalasso Engel, comfortable there as well from Alex Portal. That's well within his capabilities, but Engel looked very good on the breaststroke as we thought he might.
Yeah, he did, and we talk about the breaststroke being an important leg of the individual medley. And again, the order of the strokes is so important, because when you are the strong breaststroker, you're chasing the field, and it gives you even more of that momentum. And it like you said, Paul, it looks amazing when they cut through the field, but it feels amazing as well. And if you can then consolidate that with a strong freestyle, which Engel did there, then it gives you a lot of confidence. But Portal looked relaxed. He's got a nice, strong, long freestyle down that last 50. So he'll look to go quicker tonight too.
Yeah, you would think the Frenchman would go quicker. Van Roy as well should go quicker. The Dutchman there in lane number 5. Engel takes that one, 2:13.32 against Portal, 2:13.35. And Van Roy in 3rd place. And in 4th, Hembüller winning that contest with Vashkovic there for 4th position. So that could be important as well to try and get him to progress to that final. And heat number 2 is out now. Colin Jingguan Soon from Singapore, Muzabekov from Uzbekistan in 2, Garashenko goes in 3. The world record holder in the S13 class, Ihar Boki, will go in lane number 4. Vladimir Sotnikov, the man who got ahead of Ihar Boki in the backstroke earlier this week, he goes in 5. Verchenko should have a good start. Verchenko, the world champion in butterfly from last year, he goes in 6, and Alex Villarreal Martin in the outside lane for Spain. But it is Boki first to the wall after the butterfly, 27.04. He has had another great week, Ihar Boki.
Yeah, and he'll look to extend that great week on more final session. Verchenko turned second, 27.99. Sotnikov, 20.08. Lane 5. That relaxed backstroke, but look how much distance he gets with each stroke there. He looks really strong. Boki hasn't really opened up any more of a gap there, but Sotnikov moves into 2nd position with Verchenko in 3rd and Galashenko in 4th. That is Ihar Boki, front of the field. He hasn't got a bad stroke. Maybe breaststroke would be deemed to be his weakest stroke, but he's still very good. He has won medals in the past on the breaststroke, and he's looking good here at the front of the field.
Yeah, breaststroke's the one probably that he hasn't had as much success as he's had in the other strokes. He's been dominant over the other strokes this event, especially. He first won European title back in 2011. He won it again in 16 and in 18 and 2021. So he's looking for his 5th straight title. And we were just doing a little bit of a tally of his European medals yesterday. He was 25 European gold medals prior to this competition in Madeira. He's won 4 already, so if he wins tonight, number 30. 30 European gold medals for ER Boki tonight is a potential. That is an incredible record as he stops the clock at 209.49. Sotnikov 214.72 in third, and Garashenko 218.94 in third position. Sotnikov, sorry, was second, Garashenko in third, Verchenko was fourth place, just ahead of Villarreal Martin.
Yeah, 3 100ths the difference there between Verchenko and Villarreal Martin. As we said, so often those tight margins can be so important as we wait for the results summary. But no doubt about who was the winner in that heat, ER Boki. He's got such diversity of strength across the events. Said he's come across some breaststroke specialists.
First and second, Garashchenko third, Verchenko fourth.
He hasn't had such dominance in the breaststroke, but he's always set way medley. His world record was most recently updated in Tokyo when he took medal.
Into the final this evening and clear by almost 4 seconds. Engel second, Portal in third place, Sotnikov fourth to the final, Van Wanrooy is fifth for the Netherlands. Ukraine will have Garashchenko in sixth and Verchenko in eighth, with Hebmuller of Germany sandwiched between them in seventh. And those who didn't make the final, Villarreal Martin.
3 100 of a second, just separating the 8th from 9th there. Might have been on for another swim off there, Liz. That would have been exciting. 200 IM?
Yeah, 200 IM off for you and your swim offs. You've got one. Be happy with one.
Well, that's coming up very soon, but ER Boki progressed to the final again.
This is the men's
European title number 30 would be on. It's going to be some big names there, but Boki is going to be tough to beat, that is for sure. On to the S5s now. And we have 4 swimmers in this first heat. And again, had a couple of withdrawals again. So, on these final days of competition, should be fairly easy qualification, you would think, for these swimmers. 4 in this first heat, I think 4 due to take start in the second heat as well, so all of these swimmers should qualify for this final tonight. There is Kirill Pulver, bronze medalist in the 50, silver medalist in the 200. Mauricio Tapoza, he'll go in 3, relay gold medalist
is heat 1
on the Spanish relay team, as was Anthony Ponce Bertran. Ponce Bertran was world silver medalist, European silver medalist as well. He goes in lane number 5, and Zayed Kahil, the African record holder from Egypt. We saw him take an African record in the 200. I wonder if we're going to get one today in this 100. The Egyptian in lane number 6.
Well, Kahil started very well on the 50 of that 200 yesterday, so he's got good front end speed.
Of Spain. Pulver goes in 4.
Over.
He
at the week with a couple of and now he's moving into his favourite event. He was very good to get on the podium in that 200 metres yesterday, and he's looking strong down this first 50. It will be Pulver at the turn. 34.58 for Pulver. Next over is Ponce Bertran, 38.31 with Huerta Poza, 39.76. And Kahil once again, fast form down at the 50, 40 point for him.
Well, we're seeing Pulver quite strong in the heats, but Ponce Bertran is really just taking this one very relaxed, the experienced man. We've seen the different approach from the 2 swimmers. Pulver Strong swim again as he comes into the end there in that time of 1:10.69. Seen him do that in all these heats so far. And Ponce Bertrand just making sure the experienced man, for him making the final. Puerto Pozza in second, and it is an African record for Zahid Kahil. He went out hard and he got his reward there, just knocking almost a second off that African record. So the Egyptian record-breaking form continues for him, but Kirill Pulver, again, someone who's kind of come in, making his debut here in Madeira, and he's made a big impression on this S5 class.
He has, like I said, Paul, we've seen him swim some quite fast heats in the 200. He qualified fastest for the final, and then the question was, would he be able to go any quicker? And the answer was yes. He did move that along significantly again. So don't be fooled by that time in the heat. Doesn't mean he hasn't got anything left for tonight. He looked good there. He's enjoying his major championship debut.
Yeah, his entry time was 1:10.0. He's gone 1:10.6 there in the heats. The two Spanish swimmers, they should go faster in the final. Ponce Bertrand and Hersa Pozza, and Kahil, another African record for him. So the Egyptian will be pleased with that, and he'll have another crack at it tonight, as there are only 4 in this second heat. So all 8 swimmers will take the start again for the final tonight. So there is the lineup. Lee Zikir from Malaysia in line number 3. The world champion Alexander Komarov in 4. And the European and Paralympic champion is Francesco Bocciardo. He goes in 5, the Italian. And Alexandros Lergios goes in 6 for Greece. So there's Komarov, winner of the 50 freestyle. Bocciardo, the winner yesterday of the 200 freestyle. Lee Zikir, young 17-year-old from Malaysia, goes closest to us in lane number 3. Komarov from the water. Lergios went from the blocks, the white cap there of the Greek swimmer.
Yeah, we saw him go well earlier in the week on the sprint events. But Komarov has been excellent on those sprint events, took the victory there. He had a good swim in the 200-meter freestyle to get on to the podium as well. So this is the meeting of the middle, really. The 100 is right smack in the middle of that 50 and the 200 in terms of the race program. And it's Komarov that leads 36.22 ahead of Bocciardo 37.39, with Lergios off that fast start 39.70, 0.6 ahead of Lee.
Yeah, Komarov and Bocciardo, well, expect them to have a good tussle in the final, that's for sure. They're going head to head here in this heat. We'll put in Pulver and Ponce Bertrand into the mix as well. We've got to get the same 4s we had to maybe contest that 200 yesterday. Bocciardo came out on top, but Komarov's coming out on top in this 100 heat. 1:14.64 for the Ukrainian, and he will be safely into that final ahead of Bocciardo. Not as fast as Kirill Pulver we saw in the first heat, but Bocciardo, Komarov, they will all be contesting for that medal. It should be another good contest. Komarov looked good at the end there. We know Bocciardo is strong. And as you say, Liz, this is an interesting one because they do meet in the middle. Komarov the sprinter, Bocciardo the distance man. It's going to be very interesting to see where this 100 goes.
Yeah, they've set themselves up well there. They won't have it all their own way. Pulver, Ponce Bertrand, with the Pozza from the first heat will want to be in the mix as well. But it looked comfortable qualification there. Very similar strokes. You could see under the shot, very similar styles. Pretty much synchronized swimming down the middle of that second 50 there, and it was just in the final few strokes that Komarov shook off Bocciardo to take the touch.
Now, just waiting for confirmation of the result. There we have it. Komarov confirmed as winning that second heat. Bocciardo in second position with Lergios ahead of Lee. Close contest there for third, but they'll all qualify for that final. Pulver will be in pole position, and Cahill with that African record will have another chance to improve that time tonight. The Egyptian goes in lane. Well, but will go in lane 8 as 8th qualifier. So, there's some of the Swedes. They've got a small team here as well, taking one medal I think they've taken so far, with Nicholas St. Clair Maitland. Oh,
That
Pernille
feels like a
Lindberg
long...
as well. Pernille Lindberg as well, sorry.
Feels
Sorry,
like a
Pernille.
long time ago now, doesn't it? Those medals for the week. Day
Yeah.
7, we've made it to day 7.
We've made it. We've, you know, our stamina still going strong. 100 freestyle S3 heats though. Combined event this one. The S1s and S2s swimming up against the S3s for place in that final tonight. Again, just one final, one set of medals. There's Ellie Chalice, who's going in lane number 4. Sonja Sigurðardóttir is back in again, lane number 3, the Icelandic swimmer. She's in the S3 classification. Chalice also in the S3 class. And there is Ildim. There's Ellie Chalice. Oh, Chalice looks focused there. Ready for this heat of the 100 freestyle. She had a very good swim in the 50 freestyle. Just finishing behind Marta Fernandez Infante of Spain. Chalice in lane number 4. Here is Sigurðardóttir in lane number 3. Chalice will be the favourite for this one. Took the silver medal last year at the World Championships behind Fernandez Infante. And the swimmers just getting ready for the start. Teresa Perales there in lane number 5. Yes, 2 swimmer in this one. Yildirim in the S1 classification, the other 2 closest to us in the S3.
Yeah, and away well was Ellie Chalice. She's back to some of her best form. She swam well in the 50 freestyle earlier in the week to go a best time, break her British record and national mark. She had surgery back in November, so she's been slowly making her way back, and I know that she is glad to have regained the form. She's looking forward to a battle with Marta Fernandez Infante in that final. She's got that high stroke rate, Chalice, that she uses to great effect, drives from the core. She comes into the turn, 49.64, great swim down the first 50. As you said, she improved her 50-meter freestyle time, which has led to that front end speed improving in the 100. There we see now coming in to turn second is Teresa Perales, the great Spanish swimmer, 106.60 ahead of Sigurðardóttir, 109.58. But very much this is Chalice's race in this first heat. She is one of the 2 S3 athletes, as mentioned, so you would expect her to be leading the way, and she's going strongly. You can see that gap there come into the moment. Perales still in second as Chalice comes into the final 5 meters.
Well, it's a huge gap for Ellie Chalice over the rest of the field here. Let's check the time for Chalice, 1:44.44. So a 1 and all the 4s for Ellie Chalice, so she'll be pleased with that one. 1:41.78 was her entry time, and that was a 1:44 is faster than she went at the GB trials a couple of weeks ago. So good swim from Ellie Chalice. She's certainly on the up, and that was impressive from her. she will certainly be into the final with that one. Teresa Perales, we saw her on the medal podium last night in the 50 metres backstroke. And she's going to be in second place ahead of Sigurdardóttir Dottir. Teresa Perales 221.91, Sigurdardóttir Dottir 224.81 for the Icelander, just outside her entry time. But Ellie Chalice, wow, she pretty much had it her own way there in that heat. She wins that one 144.44. It's one swimmer still left is the S1 swimmer, Ildem, the Turkey swimmer. She is around about halfway down now for this final leg. But the Turks, the Turkey team have had a fantastic championship, haven't they? Probably better than they could have expected.
Yes, they have. Yaraman has been a revelation in the S7 men's category, but also took a gold medal in the S5 50 meters. They've picked up other medals along the way, so they've had a good week and they'll be pleased with how it's going. But again, they're a small team and they occupy very similar classification groups, but they really are progressing in recent years.
Yeah, very strong in the these S5, S4 classifications. Unlu picking up a medal as well, Boyachi and Yaraman. But there, well, this one belonged to Ellie Chalice. She had it all her own way, Ellie Chalice. And look at that great tempo that she's got of the stroke. I mean, she's really come on in recent years. It's been, well, it doesn't seem like 5 years ago when she made her World Championship debut, does it? In 2019, of course, we've had the lost years of COVID, so it just seems like yesterday that Ellie Chalice broke onto the team. But she's now a real established member of that GB team, isn't she? And a real contender at all the major internationals.
Yeah, and she attacks. She loves to race, and I think the good thing about the major championships for her is she gets to race, because domestically Britain don't have many of the lower classification swimmers, so we see that she's topping that heat, but she'll be looking forward to the final if she can go up against Fernandez Infante.
Yeah, so Chalice, Perales, Sigurdardóttir and Ildem, that's how they finish in that first heat. And second heat is on its way now. So that yellow cap of Sweden, that's what the Swedes were waiting for this morning. Lova Johansson in lane number 2. Dominisa Mecanati, the Italian, goes in lane number 3. We have Marta Fernandez Infante, the Spanish swimmer. Will be the favourite for this one, the world champion from last year. She goes in lane number 4. Zoya Shirova, who took a bronze medal behind Fernandez Infante and Chalice in the 50. And Veronika Gorenko in the outside lane, the Israeli, who took a medal, I think, on day 1, I think. Veronika Gorenko, a silver medal in the 50 metres breaststroke. But Fernandez Infante, well, definitely will be the favourite for this one. Difficult to see beyond her. Shirova has also had a good event this week, and Mecanati, a newcomer, another newcomer to the Italian team, have had a couple of good swims as well.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about athletes that acquire their impairments and the difference that makes, and whether they were swimmers before or not. And Mecanati, former gymnast, so she's got that mentality, she's got that athlete foundation, and I think that really helps. But it does mean when you acquire your impairment, you spend a long time figuring out what works best for you, and I'm sure that we'll see Mecanati improve lots over meets to come. Almost every time she gets in the water, she'll learn something new about her stroke and her competition strategy. Good around the wall there. Like you said, the Italians got a great diverse team, so there's plenty of people to speak to and learn from, and she's fitted right in to that team at the front of the field. As expected, going through first, there was Fernandez Infante. She led the way very comfortably, 55.48 She's going nice and easy this morning here. Shurova was next through 103.82, and Mekanate, we saw her turn there, 105.94. Fernandez taking this one easy, as I said, but she's coming in to complete her heat.
Yeah, she is, and she's going to be slightly slower than Ellie Chalice was in that first heat. Chalice swimming the 144. Fernandez Infante 149.86, but that was comfortable for the Spanish swimmer. In second place, I think it will be in lane number 5, Zoya Shurova, bronze medalist, I said, in the 50 freestyle. She's now in 210.25. Here comes Mekanate now, the Italian.
Of Italy.
Entry time of 2:17. She's going to be slightly outside that. 2:25.49 for the Italian. So she swims there, and in lane number 6, Veronika Guarenko coming in. So that should be good enough for Veronika Guarenko to make it to that final. 2:32.46 for her. But Fernandez Infante, oh, what a good week she's had. An integral part of the Spanish relay team, isn't she?
She is. She's very strong, especially in that medley relay. Her butterfly really is something else. But she swam her heat smartly here this week. We saw in the 50 freestyle as well. She went quite comfortably in the morning and then really picked it up in the evening. As we just focus our attentions now on Lova Johansson. She's swimming well here. She came in, her entry time of 4:18.30. We don't have that running clock in the corner, so we will keep an eye on the scoreboard, but we saw the Swedes in the stands getting ready to support Johansson on this swim.
Of Sweden has 15
her
meters left
entry
to go.
time 4:18.30, as you said. So we'll see how close you can get to that. As you said, Swedes, a couple of medals already. They've always got a fairly small team, but they managed to get on the medal podium more often than not. And we talked about the great Anders Olsen. His world record still stands in the S6 class. He was a real champion for the Swedish team. And Lova Johansson coming in with that yellow cap. They've got the traditional colours, Liz. That yellow cap of Sweden. That's what we like to see. Yellow and blue, the Swedes. And they'll come in, Lova Johansson. And look at that, 4:13.78 for Lova. And the entry time of 4:18.30. So she's got a smile on the face. And she has improved that entry time by 5 seconds or so. So good swim from the Swede. But Fernandez Infante will take that one. Very good performance again by the Spanish swimmer. We would expect her to go a lot faster in the final list.
Yes, as we said, in that 50 she employed a very similar technique in that she went at quite slow. Knew she could qualify comfortably for the final. She'll up that stroke rate tonight. Expect her to go a lot quicker. She's been 137 this year, and then she tops that heat number 2 at 149.86. Followed by Shurova and Mekanate, and they will all make the final. Lova Johansson unfortunately will miss out, but Ellie Chalice leads the way. Marta Fernandez Infante in second. That promises to be another cracking head-to-head there. Chalice on good form, Fernandez Infante on good form as well. So, one to look forward to tonight, and another one to look forward to very shortly. Here's the men's 50 metres freestyle for the S9 classification. This one should be very fast indeed. World record held by Simone Barlam. Well, we haven't seen Barlam take the start in, well, all of the events that he's been entered for, but he's been successful in the ones that he has.
50 meters freestyle, S9.
He swam at the start of the week. We saw him. Butterfly 100 freestyle. Haven't seen him since.
Yeah, he goes in heat number 2, but Ugo Didier there strides out to the blocks in lane number 4. Full lineup, Mosgavoy going into closest to us. Simone Chioli, saw him in the chair there. in lane number 3. Hugo Didier goes in lane number 4. Denis Tarasov in lane number 5. Jose Antonio Maria Alcaraz in 6. And Yuri Bozinski goes in lane number 7. Well, Denis Tarasov is still the world record holder in the S8 classification. He swims as an S9, but he was hugely successful in the S8 class over the years. But he's now, since he's become an S9, this is very much the speciality for him.
Yeah, very much. He'll get off the block well. Didier there in the shot will look to finish strongly. Getting a good reaction was Simone Chili in lane 3 for Italy. Tarasov, though, as expected, up and leading the way through 25 metres.
Yeah, well, he's had to wait all week for this one, Denis Tarasov, for his 50-metre event, and he is looking very, very good. Denis Tarasov in lane number 5. Tarasov into the wall in 25.48, so very good swim from Denis Tarasov. You'll be pleased with that one. In second place it was Mozgovoy, 26.19. Bozinski, 26.22. And Didier just getting ahead of Cooley and Marie Alcaraz. Well, look at that. How close was that for second, right down to 6th there, Liz? Only 0.4 of a second separating everyone.
Yeah, and we've talked through the heats, haven't we, about how close it can be and how we've seen people miss out. And it was actually this S9 50 freestyle at a major championships where there was 3 heats and only 1 swimmer from the first heat did qualify, because it is such a tight race. Really small margin for error. You can't afford to hang about. Again, though, Didier at 25 to go, he was still quite far down, and he did finish strongly. 4th place touch could prove to be vital.
Oh, it certainly could. Look at that. 6/100s ahead of Simone Cooley was the Frenchman. Tarasov made no mistake, though. 25.48 ahead of Moscovoy and Bozinski, Didier, Cooley and Alcaraz. Well, heat number 2, they have seen what heat number 1 did there. A whole range of people on the 26.5 to 26 low. There's the world record holder, Simone Barlam. That sensational world record set at the World Championships last year, 23.96. Line up for this one: Braunschweig, Shrink Martinez, Barlam, Vasilenko, Shalkano and Popham.
Well, good start from Braunschweig down the bottom. In the lane 2, he got off the block very well indeed. That long arm span of Barlam now starting to come through in the centre lane. Braunschweig still going well at the bottom.
Yeah, he is going well, but Barlam coming through now. The world record holder very, very strong in the second half of this 50. Let's have a look at the clock there. 25.06. He will be in the 25 range alongside Tarasov, and again a whole raft of people in the mid-26s. Oh, look at the finish here. Ben Popham 26.56 and Braunschweig 26.59, Shalkano 26.59, Shrek Martinez 26.63. 7/100ths of a second separating 3rd from 6th, with Vasilenko in 2nd place 26.28. Well, where is this one going to go, Les?
You might get your swim off.
We might do. My goodness, how close is this 50 freestyle? Barlam, again, like Tarasov, made no mistake. Vasilenko should be there as well. But, well, look at the finish. Ooh. What do you think, Liz? Are we going to get this swim off? Another one?
I think that we are.
Barlam is fastest fruit.
Well, there we go. Simone Barlam in that second heat. Look how close it was. Vasilenko should make it to the final with that 26.28. Popham, those 3/100s could be vital.
Australia.
Braunschweig, Schalkenau
And let's see the second
tied
page.
for 4th place.
Amari
And look at
Alcaraz
that.
in
Oh,
joint 8th
well,
place, so we can
Alcaraz
see
and
a
Popham,
swim-off in the
26.56.
50
How
freestyle.
close
They
was that?
separate
Absolutely
8th from
unbelievable.
8th.
Are we in for another
Schalkenau
one?
10th,
Another
joint 10th
swim
for
off.
Braunschweig and Širenik
How
Well-
funny is that? That
what
swim
a
off is not the
close
two
set of
people that
heats.
tied in that second heat.
I know. It's one from the first heat and one from the second. My goodness.
It's got everything this week. We've had it all.
Yeah, we do have a swim off
Well,
in the
it's
men's
already on the
100
programme,
meters backstroke
11:27.
S10. That is coming up very
That's
shortly.
not much of a turnaround.
Get out, go back down the other end, start again.
Oh dear. Well, first of all, though, we've got the S10 men's 100 backstroke swim off. And they should be due on pretty soon, I think. Yeah, I've seen some great, really close races. A lot of tied races, haven't we? Amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start. You're gonna have to stop wishing for swim offs.
I know. Certainly more tied races than I think I can remember. I mean, there's always ties at the major
Swimmers,
championships.
coaches,
Not
team
quite as many
managers,
as we've
please
seen.
can the team leader from Spain and Australia.
they're asking
That
for
is
the team
team
leaders
leader
from the two countries
Spain
now.
And Australia report to the technical delegates office immediately. Thank
I
you.
think we might, well, I think because we've got a tie for 8th place, there might be a tie for second reserve as well, Liz. So we might have two swim-offs, but they'll
This
go
is the
together, I
men's
think.
I was gonna say, could they not just do it all together?
Yeah, they will do it. They will go it together, yeah. But they'll separate them by the lanes. Well, I think they will anyway. That's what I've seen in the past. But yeah, of course, the reserve. You have two reserves for the finals as well. So if you finish in 9th and 10th, then if someone doesn't show up for the final, then you take their place in the final. So first and second reserve. So that's what we're going to have, I think. Swimmer for 8th place, a place in the final, and a swimmer for the second reserve position. But this one is for a place in the final. Thomas Cordero and Stanislav Popov. Portuguese swimmer Cordero and Popov, the Ukrainian. Both of them swam 104.91. They were both in the same heat. So Cordero closest to us, Popov furthest away. Can they go faster than 104.91? We saw a very close swim off the other day. I wonder if we're going to get something quite as close. Popov looks very good in the opening.
Yeah, Popov has gotten off to the best start, but that high stroke rate of Cordero coming back down the second half of this first 50 metres. It's definitely Cordero with the higher stroke rate, but Popov still in the lead, having had the advantage off the start. Popov over there, 30.85, Cordero 31.29. Cordero looks to be building with every stroke.
Yeah, the Portuguese swimmer's certainly not out of this one by any means. Stanislav Popov and Thomas Cordero. Well, they had a dead heat in the qualification heats earlier this morning. It's looking pretty close here as well. Popov still fighting. Cordero coming back now with every stroke, still maintaining that high stroke rate. I think it might be Cordero into the wall. The home swimmer gets in first, and look at that time, 103.75. Both of them are inside the time they went earlier, but Cordero and the crowd in the stands celebrate that victory. What a swim there, 103.75. Really strong in the second 50 for Cordero.
Well, he worked really hard there. He attacked that one, didn't he? You can see the determination on his face. The shot we saw going down that second 50, about midway down the pool on that second 50, we got a good look at Cordero's face, and there was definitely a grimace. He was fighting all the way.
Germany and neutral para-athlete, that is a representative from Germany and a neutral para-athlete.
There is
to the
Cordero going over there at the turn. Popov had the lead.
Thank you.
Had a substantial lead, probably about 0.3 of a second or something like. But Cordero in the second half of there was really strong, and he came in ahead of Stanislav Popov, 103.75 and 104.09. He enjoyed that one, I think.
Yeah, he's going to get to him again in front of a home crowd.
He'll take that 8th place into this 100 backstroke S10 final. And now We're going to have a
Now we
little bit of
wait.
a waiting game.
We wait.
To see what's happening. It is scheduled, the swim off. I can see it. Jose Antonio Maria Alcaraz, Ben Popham. They are in scheduled to swim this swim off. They've also got that the other two that tied, Schalkenau and Braunschweig. They tied for 10th position. So
But they only just made the announcement. No, they only just made the reserve announcement in the venue. So if they are all going in the same pool at the same time, we will have a little bit of a wait.
Yeah. So we were ahead of the game. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well,
You were. You're always ahead of the game, Paul. Always. No one would ever doubt you.
Well,
We
there's a
can see a
medal
little
table.
glimpse of the table. That's when you know that we are stalling for time in venue when the medal table comes up in venue.
They've got 7 goals so far.
Italy have done well, haven't they? 22 gold medals. They stretched away from Ukraine yesterday. The Great Britain and Netherlands have had a real kind of head-to-head this week, haven't they? Great Britain with just edging the Netherlands probably by about 1 medal on almost every single day.
Absolutely, and the British team is a smaller team than they would typically bring, but the Netherlands, they've always got a small team, and they are having a great race. They've got a few more opportunities. Great race, great meet. Having a few opportunities to add to that tonight. Olivier van der Voort is looking incredible on that 100 metres backstroke.
He was amazing, wasn't he? And we haven't really seen him. When was the last time that we saw him? Was it the Rio Paralympic Games, Liz? Because he took some time out, didn't he?
Yeah, he stopped, and like we said, these mixed relay teams have really literally mixed things up for the nations, and all of a sudden have made them a lot more accessible. Both Van der Voort, in fact, both of the Dutch men being brought back in, drafted back in, Van der Voort and Van Hoevegen. But they've both swam very well individually here this week as well.
Yeah, they have, and well, so Van der Voort, it's going to be tough for him to be beaten in that 100 backstroke. It's not out of the question, of course. We don't know what the others are capable of, but it looked very, very good indeed. Well, we're just getting a message now. The swim-off is going to be at 11:45, I think, Liz. Local time. And, there you go. So a little bit of a time for us to wait. We can talk about Lizzie, the mascot, now.
Haven't seen them this morning, have you?
They were on the screen a little bit earlier. There's a Portuguese team. And got some action just to look back on for this morning. Some good shots that we've been getting. Our camera people have been working really well at the pool, haven't they? It's getting us some great shots of the action.
Yeah, we're very fortunate with the shots that we receive. Some great underwater shots that really show the technicalities of the athletes' strokes.
Yeah.
There they are, Liz.
There we are.
Well, just to let
the red light's gone off.
We are expecting
Does he know he's on?
in the men's S9 50 meters.
That is a cool camera, that.
8th and the joint 10th place. That's
You like your tech. You like your tech. You've been admiring cameras all week in the crowds.
So don't go.
Well, yeah, they give us good shots. What can I say?
They do. 11:45 local time. So it's at about 10 minutes, 13 minutes time. Wonder if we're going to get the first reserve swimmers as well at the same time.
It would make sense, and you should maybe get yourself in that technical office because you called that.
Yeah. This is this panning shot of the pool, and there is that venue that we've become so familiar with, almost a second home to World Para Swimming, this Madeira venue.
Well, we will be going somewhere else next year, Paul.
Yes, that's right. We were talking about it yesterday. It's the Singapore World Championships in 2025. They've linked it to the 60th anniversary of Singapore as a country. And those events will be taken October next year, isn't it, Liz?
It is early October, first week of it. forward to in that continent before, so very exciting. Those of evolution and development, and the team there are working very hard to make sure, well, they worked hard to bring the World Championships to Singapore in the first place, and now they're working very hard to make sure that it is an incredible event. There is Sarai Gascon waiting for that swim off. Jose Maria Alcaraz will be in that, so she will that closely.
Yeah, she certainly will. She's had a great championships as well. Sarai Gascon, that victory in the 100 freestyle is really good swim from her.
Right,
The incredible record that she's got in 100 freestyle and 100 butterfly, winning medals at the championships.
There's Lizzie. She's made it.
She's another
Lizzie,
swimmer. We've talked about it. Before you get started talking about Lizzie,
Oh,
let's
sorry.
talk about Sarai Gascon for a little bit longer. Because I think we talked about Andre Kalina, didn't we?
Now,
And again, similar. Like he first been swimming since 2004. Sarai Gascon since 2008. But being competitive all the way. And she's still as competitive as she ever was, swimming some of her best swims that we have seen from her. An example again of when you bring somebody very young, because she's still
Thanks for joining in with the Macarena. We've got another track for you now to go again. Let's see what we've got next. Lizzie's getting really into this dance, as are
Talk
our
back.
wonderful event staff and volunteers. If you're up in the stands, give us a dance as well. Maybe you'll get on the camera. The new track. I think that Raquel was born for this. She knows all the moves. Marie's getting on it. Francesca's trying. She could be a bit more enthusiastic. Get a sway going on, sway those arms. Thank you very much to everyone. A huge thank you. Thank you to Lizzie. Huge round of applause for Lizzie. Huge round of applause for Raquel and for Francesca, our wonderful event staff here, and for Marie. Let's not rule her out. Our wonderful floor managers doing a great job at keeping all of the good vibes going here in Funchal.
Is that underwater camera, Liz?
I think that might be my favourite camera if we're going to talk about cameras, you know. Obviously,
That's
helpful to all the other cameras as well, but that one is just cool.
yeah, you were admiring cameras in the crowd the other day.
Yeah, that little one that was on the, like a monopod. Was very cool. Now I'm just admiring the camera operators. Look, we're getting to see all the camera operators as well.
We
the people
are.
behind the scenes that don't always get the credit that they deserve, bringing us these excellent shots.
Yeah, it's a real team effort to bring you this from Madeira, these championships. A lot of people behind the scenes working very hard, you said, Liz. Last day. We can hardly believe it's the last day already.
Oh, but it's churning out some excitement, isn't it? Like this swim off. Oh, I don't know. My screen hasn't updated to before. Oh, look at that hat.
That could be like an Australian one almost there. Could be part of the... Maybe he is an Australian. Australian
What, an
camera
Australian
operator, Madeira?
hat? What are you talking about now?
Well, it could have been an Australian hat. There's a bit of like the, you know, red, white and blue and a bit of yellow at the back.
I think you need a rest.
Well, I do need a rest, that is for sure.
It's hot down there on poolside, I think, for like that is one thing that, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, but the atmosphere in the pool, it's a great atmosphere, but poolside is typically very, very warm. That's a cool spot. I've not noticed that spot before up there.
Oh yeah, that'll be our long shot. Right down the pool. And that kind of mural on the wall at the side of the pool. It's a great location, isn't it? Just perched up on the hillside, looking down towards the ocean, down from the hill in Funchal.
Yeah,
it's quite a hilly city, isn't it?
This is the men's 50 meters
It
freestyle.
is hilly, yes.
S9 swim
Oh,
off.
okay. How many swimmers are going to come out?
Masculinos 50 metros livres.
Just two.
S9.
Two, I think. Oh, they're going. Oh no, they are going to the middle lanes. I thought they were going to the outside lanes here, but we do have. Looks like Ben Popham in the green cap of Australia, and Jose Maria Alcaraz, that Spanish cap. So this is for a place in the final. It was mighty close in the heats between, well, four swimmers, all separated by 3/100ths of a second. Try and make that place into the final. Maria Alcaraz. Well, he has been European champion in this one before. Back in 2014, another one of these Spanish swimmers who have been very experienced. There's Ben Popham as well, an Australian. Head to head.
And the swim off is
Yeah, they're off the wall pretty much together there from the start. Highest stroke rate from Alcaraz.
Of Spain.
Closest to us, there's very little to separate them as they go through 25 metres.
Yeah, well, it's head down now for these two swimmers into the last 10 now. It's going to be very close indeed. Might be Popham possibly into the wall first, is it? 26.37 and 26.54. It was Popham who will claim that 8th place, and two excellent times there as well. But it is Ben Popham who will take that place in the final. Maria Alcaraz, he's pleased with that time, I think. 26.54. Both of them faster than they went in their individual heat swims this morning. But Ben Popham will take that 8th place in the final.
Yeah, once again, and we've seen it in a number of races, it came down to that final stroke cycle, the longer arms of Popham getting in. You saw Popham put on a little bit of a surge right at the end. There was nothing to separate them in the early stages through the first race. This is 25 metres and they are together. And then look here, it's just Popham sort of, something happened and it was that lunge for the wall that got Popham the victory.
And also, join us a little bit earlier because the opening,
there he is.
the closing ceremony.
He is enjoying that one.
From 5 p.m.
So,
this evening.
There is Maria Alcaraz. Well, a good swim. He did get his second swim, but probably not the one he wanted in that final tonight. And he will be sitting that final out. He'll be the first reserve for that final. It doesn't look like we're going to have a swim off for the second reserve spot. So the countries must have agreed that no swim off is required. So Ben Popham will take that last place in the final tonight. Jose Maria Alcaraz will be in 9th position. And that, I think, we'll conclude our session. A bit of a longer run than we thought it was going to be, Liz.
Yep, no more heats. That was the final heats session of the championships. Just one more session to go, Paul.
Yeah, that very exciting final session. It's a good heat session this morning as the officials leave the poolside. We started off with that 100 breaststroke, SB8, Ellen Keane and Anastasia Dimitrov progressing to that final. They have battled out the major titles in recent years in that SB8 classification. The battle again in the SB8 for men. Oscar Salguero Galisteo and Andre Kalina, Paralympic champions, both of them in that event. It's hard to look beyond Bianca Papp for the 100 backstroke, but a few queuing up behind her, Liz.
Yeah, it promises to be a great challenge for the podium in that one.
And Olivier van der Voort, well, who can challenge the Dutchman? He has been on sparkling form. Bas Taken in second, and Fidalgo will go for the host nation in third position into that final. Another Dutchman first in to the final is Roger Dorsman, but the world champion from last year, David Kratochvil, will be close behind him. Bocelli finished well in the 100 freestyle. Expect that final to be a lot faster than the heats this morning. Yaraman and Trusov, both world record breakers this week, will go in second and third. And in the 200 freestyle, it was simple qualification for Dadon as he leads the way ahead of Beggiato and the experienced David Smetany. And Carlotta Giri and Tosh Pilatova, both Paralympic medalists in this 200 IM. They'll be first and second. Roisin Nurian will try for another medal, the Irish swimmer. Talis O'Engle looked good on the breaststroke element of that 200 IM for the SM13s, but E.R. Boki, the world record holder, will be very tough to beat, trying to maintain that incredible record he's got in that event at European Championships. Again, we saw four swimmers tussling in the 200 freestyle yesterday, the same four at the top of the 100 freestyle for the S5 classification. And the 100 freestyle S3 promises to be another head-to-head between Ellie Chalice and Marta Fernandez Infante. Those two have impressed us this week, swimming some great times in that S3 classification, and in a very fast 50 metres freestyle, very close 50 metres freestyle. Simone Barlam and Denis Tarasov go into the final. The two swimmers in the 25-second range, all the rest in 26, and that was mighty close, wasn't it, Liz?
It was. That swim off to round out this morning's action. Ben Popham getting that last spot in the final.
So please join us again. The action starts just before 5:30 tonight. That's when the first finals will begin. It's the very final session here in Madeira. So join us later. And from Liz and myself, bye for now.